After the Regina Caeli of Sunday, May 25th, something happened, to which the right importance was not given. An event that could represent a precursor sign of what has been announced for decades by the seers of Garabandal. Pope Leo XIV, with the mastery of a true diplomat, pronounced words that shook the Catholic world and launched a clear message to communist China. What many have not understood is that this intervention could represent a precursor sign of the Garabandal prophecy about the warning. Today we will understand why, and through the illuminating words of Professor Lucas Gelacio, spokesperson for the Brazilian seer Father Oliveira, we will understand what the true position of the Church is towards communism. Obviously, the words of the new Pope did not escape the seer Pedro Regis, who in his catechesis of May 27th deepened the question, and we will also report his point of view. If these themes are close to your heart, help us spread them. A like can do so much, as well as your subscription to the channel. Thank you from the heart. Last Sunday, after the Regina Caeli prayer, Pope Leo XIV demonstrated extraordinary diplomatic ability. He began by remembering the beatification of Stanislaw Kostka, a Polish diocesan priest, killed in hatred of the faith in 1938. The reason for his death? His commitment in favor of the poor and workers deeply annoyed the followers of communist ideology. His example, declared the Holy Father, may stimulate priests in particular to spend themselves generously for the gospel and for their brothers. But the Pope's words did not stop there. On the occasion of the liturgical memory of Mary, Help of Christians, he remembered the day of prayer for the Church in China, established by Pope Benedict XVI, as a sign of solicitude and affection for Chinese Catholics, and of their communion with the Universal Church. A coincidence? Absolutely not. It was a brilliant and pungent criticism of the Chinese Communist government, politically veiled, but painfully evident for those who had eyes to see. The words of Leo XIV did not go unnoticed by Pedro Regis, the Brazilian seer who receives the messages of Our Lady of Anguera. In his catechesis of May 27th, Pedro analyzed with surgical precision the papal intervention, defining it a roar from the Vatican. According to Regis, Leo XIV finally gave the first signal of wanting to face the disaster left by the previous pontificate regarding the situation of Catholics in China. Pedro described the dramatic situation in China with words that make one reflect: children are forbidden to enter church. Priests are forced to quote the president in their sermons. How will faith be handed down? How will orthodoxy and the authority of the magisterium be guarded? He told of knowing people, even priests and lay people, in those areas of China who celebrate Mass in secret, in homes. It is a very sad thing. Let us show our closeness to all Catholics who in the world live their faith in hiding and persecution. Let us write together in the comments. The Immaculate Heart will triumph. Amen. Pedro Regis did not mince words in his analysis. Can a Catholic adhere to communism? He asked himself rhetorically, then answered firmly. There exists in the Catholic Church excommunication for those who take this path. No pope, no church authority, can defend communist ideologies. This is what the Church has always taught. And whoever defends them commits grave sin. His words were cutting. We have seen, in past papacies, praise, secret agreements, and a lot of nonsense regarding communism. They spoke of the Soviet Union, but forgot about Communist China, Guatemala, Venezuela, and so many countries, even in Africa, where communism destroys people's lives. Pedro forcefully emphasized how the secret agreement between the Vatican and China represented a betrayal towards Chinese Catholic faithful. And he remembered the existence of official church documents, like the one approved by Pope John XXIII, 1959, which reaffirmed the 1949 decree against communism. It was asked to the Supreme Sacred Congregation if Catholic citizens, at the moment of electing their representatives, could give their vote to parties linked to that current, even if they do not openly proclaim principles contrary to Catholic doctrine. The answer was clear: no, the Catholic cannot. To fully understand the gravity of the situation, it is essential to know Professor Lucas Gelasio's analysis on why the Church condemns communism. Gelasio explained that the condemnation is not a political question, but doctrinal. Communism has been defined by the popes as intrinsically perverse because it is based on historical dialectical materialism, a philosophy that denies the existence of God and places the state as the only supreme power. The Church has condemned communism since 1846, when Pope Pius IX defined it nefarious doctrine maximally contrary to natural law. Since then, all popes, from Pius IX to Benedict XVI, have issued documents against this ideology. Leo XIII wrote the famous Rerum Novarum, Pius XI the Divini Redemptoris, where he defined communism intrinsically perverse. And Pius XII established that whoever adheres to communism automatically incurs excommunication as an apostate of the faith. Communism systematically attacks the foundations of Christian society. It wants to destroy the family, abolishing indissoluble marriage, and making sure that children are educated by the state instead of by their parents. It denies the right to private property, considered by the Church a natural right. It eliminates every form of social hierarchy and legitimate authority. Its final objective is to substitute God with the state, breaking all sacred bonds between church, family, and society. Where communism has been applied, it has caused millions of deaths, systematic persecutions, destruction of churches, and religious works of art. In Spain, during the Civil War, bishops were deported, and thousands of priests, religious and Catholic laypeople were killed. In China today, the situation is equally dramatic. At least 10 Catholic bishops are in indefinite detention for having opposed governmental control over the Church. The Church's condemnation is so severe that in the 1949 decree, it is established that it is not licit for Catholics to adhere to communist parties, to read or spread communist material, and whoever does so cannot receive the sacraments. Whoever professes communist doctrine automatically incurs excommunication as an apostate of the faith. It is not even necessary to declare oneself communist. It is enough to defend or spread those ideas to be outside the Church. This context makes Leo XIV's intervention even more significant. Citing a martyr priest killed by communists and remembering the suffering of Chinese Catholics, the Pope launched a clear message to the entire world. It is not just about diplomacy. It is a return to the traditional doctrine of the Church after years of ambiguity and compromises. But there is a prophetic element that makes this moment even more extraordinary. According to the seers of Garabandal, before the warning, there will be a period in which it will seem that communism has conquered the entire world, making the practice of religion very difficult. Mari Loli had specified that the warning will come when Russia suddenly surpasses itself and becomes part of the free world. And when you see that Holy Mass cannot be celebrated freely, anywhere. This prophetic scenario seems to align perfectly with the current situation. Communism, despite having changed form and denomination, has effectively conquered much of the world through ideologies that maintain the same materialist and anti-Christian essence. In China, as Pedro Regis remembered, priests celebrate Mass in secret in homes, exactly as described in the Garabandal Prophecies. Leo XIV intervention could therefore represent the beginning of that papal resistance that will precede the divine intervention announced at Garabandal. The seers had foreseen that there would be a moment in which the world would have more need of divine intervention, when religious persecution would reach its apex. Pedro Regis concluded his analysis with words that leave no room for interpretation. Leo gave a good signal. Now let's see what he will do. He cited a murdered priest and took him as an example. So he gave a strong message, and only those who didn't want to understand, didn't understand it. He cannot go back, by now he has spoken. What we are living could be the beginning of that spiritual escalation that will lead to the warning prophesied at Garabandal. The signs are all there: religious persecution growing, communism that under new forms conquers the world. The growing difficulty in freely practicing faith. And now, finally, a pope who has the courage to call things by their name. The signal has been given. Leo XIV has chosen which side to stand on. The spiritual battle intensifies, but for those who have faith, this is not a reason for fear, but for hope. Because it means we are close to that moment in which, as promised at Garabandal, God Himself will intervene to save humanity from the abyss towards which it is heading. We invite you to leave in the comments your prayer intentions for the conversion of those who persecute the Church and for the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. We will unite our prayers to your intentions. According to what was reported by writer Albrecht Weber, during a meeting with the seer Conchita, she would have revealed to him that a precursor sign of the Great Warning would be precisely the journey of a pope to Moscow. And that after his return to the Vatican, hostilities would explode in various parts of Europe. Could Leo XIV be that pope? To know, click on the video that has appeared on your screen. May God always illuminate your path. See you at the next video.